It oversteers like crazy. A little bit of throttle helps there. But sometimes I just want to change of pace. But I was driving with a friend of mine who has a Slash. And I've got a couple of 1/16 scale Slashes, but they're not very good. And I've had various Traxxas trucks in the past. I've had a Stampede that had a fairly uncomfortable amount of money dumped into it, and I ended up selling it for very little, but that was a very nice machine, but I got tired of things breaking. I've got the Arrma Senton 6S, and that's been great fun on jumps. There's the V3, I've had that since the V3 came out, and I found Arrma to be really responsive on feedback and whatnot. And then they dropped the version 4, which had a few of the main complaints of the V3 addressed. It's been a good rig. But I was actually after a short course truck because I wanted to drive with a friend of mine, and I've got a track that I've made here. I'm lucky enough to have a track here. So I didn't actually buy this for RC-TNT, but it seems a shame to not share this with you. I'm going to be opening it anyway, and I'm going to be driving it. So I figure, why not share the experience with you? If you're not interested, don't worry, I'm not going to be changing to fast stuff most of the time. But sometimes I will, and that's all right. So this is the Senton 3S BLX. I haven't done a lot of research. In fact, I haven't done any research. I just knew that they made a short course truck. I knew I didn't want a Traxxas. I got tired of the upgrade merry-go-round. They make a mean crawler, and I've got the long arm lift kit going onto the Bronco soon, and we're going to stick some 2.2s on, they'll be fun. But, and there wasn't much plastic in that wrapping either, which is great. What I really just wanted was a short course truck to enjoy with a friend of mine on the track. I'll reinforce the body. I usually put heavy tape underneath that. So we've got our brushless motor, and then we've got the so the pinion and the spur gear there. So this is the more simple 2-diff kind with a fairly decent plastic drive shaft. I don't mind that it's plastic given how big it is, and a thin but pretty chunky bearing. Oh, okay, so it's the SLT3. So this really is their most basic radio. It is actually a 3-channel. Power button, obviously. Steering reverse, throttle reverse, and throttle percentage. You can limit it to 50, 75, or 100 by the look of it. All right, so I'll probably bind it to this just because it's one less set of batteries I need to worry about. And you've got some shock spacers, because these aren't adjustable with the ring style, but they are adjustable with spacers. And then you've got a looks like a pretty tough plastic multi-tool that lets you do the wheels and some other components as well. I see a wheelie bar in the back here, cleverly integrated into the bumper, which is pretty cool. Oh! It bottoms out only just, and it bottoms out in the rear. That's nice. Now, being that they're independent axles, which is correct and normal for this kind of car, there are hop-ups available for some cars of this design, such as having a sway bar. There is no sway bar front or rear on this, but it's quite long and wide. I don't know that it would make a huge difference. Sway bars generally do make some difference though, so I guess I'm just interested to see how this goes out. The turnbuckles are plastic at each end with the metal adjustable rods in the middle for camber adjustment. And then you've got your adjustable rods for steering, but they're out of the box, they're pretty good. Being a 3S, it's got room for what looks to be up to about a 6700 milliamp hour if you've got one of the old fat Traxxas style ones, or just the standard, I haven't got here, the standard 5 amp 3S battery, and that will balance this thing out. It's 100 amp, brushless, it won't be censored, and it's got a spark protection cap. I don't need the voltage sensing. Ah, it doesn't have the voltage sensing line on it, actually. Yeah, this is getting the chop, sorry connector. So yeah, look, it's a basic system, but the box says 50 mile an hour or 80k an hour in ideal conditions. It won't hurt to have some reinforcement above the wheels, and also I'll just put some in the middle and maybe on the sides a little. The spur is easily removed actually. That's actually quite a clever little system. No, I like this. The tub chassis is pretty solid. There's not much underneath it. It's nice and flat, and it looks like it comes apart quite easily as well. It's nice to see these in the front. That's better. It's going to prevent crud from flying into the body, which is very good. That's nice to see. And it looks like it comes apart pretty easily. And you kind of want to keep cables out. It's pretty smooth. There's not much that can catch it, but it's a little uncomfortable not having a cover on that. So I'd be inclined to cable tie this guy down here actually, and that'll keep the battery out of the way. There's a little pad underneath, which is good. And so the shocks have some crud guards on them. It just protects the main shaft from stones and stuff in the back, which is the more important one, honestly. It has them as well. The A-arms look pretty solid. And the shafts, though they're plastic, are huge. So as long as this isn't driven on carpet without mechanical sympathy, I think this is actually going to be just fine. My Creighton has a bunch of metal upgrades, and I even have, with the Go Fast stuff, when I got my Creighton, I replaced some of the, I mean, it's fiber reinforced plastics, but I replaced them with metal equivalents, all that stuff. I've still got some more metal stuff I haven't used yet, and I've got some spare A-arms. And you see, when I bought my Creighton, I was used to buying, like, I basically should be a shareholder of RPM, because I had a massive bucket of RPM stuff. And although I bought extra bits and pieces to strengthen this thing, my plan was, as I break stuff, you know, shock ends and bits and pieces, as I break stuff, I'll replace it. You know, I've got a full bearing set ready for when they wear out, and shims and stuff. I haven't broken anything. The only thing I really so far have had to replace was this alloy bracket, which is it got bent from some bad landings, but I've got my eye in now and I can land it on its wheels most of the time pretty well. So although I'm used to owning a Traxxas and having lots and lots of spare parts, I haven't needed these for the Creighton, which is so good to say. So I'm hopeful that the Senton will be the same. It's not as frenetic, it's not going to be as crazy being on half the voltage, the batteries will last longer, and I just want to do some peaceful, happy laps with this thing, round and round and round. That's all I want to do with this thing. I'm happy with the bearings that came in the Creighton, so I'm kind of just resting on my experience with that, and it's just general industry reputation that this is going to be fine as well. The little thoughtful design touches I see, and the wheelie bar that's nicely integrated, the plastics, everything about this, and the fiber reinforced ends here. It looks to me like this is going to be a happy little truck, and I should just be able to drive it. That's all I really want to do. I just want to bash with it, and just do, and not even hard bashing. I just want to do some laps with it. That's all. So let's get it out on the track and see how it handles, shall we? All right, here we are out on the track. This is the last time this thing will be properly clean, I'd say. I've stuck with the default remote for now. I've just trued the steering. The tyres aren't balanced. There's quite a bit of shaking, which is not a big deal. This is a basher, not a racer, so I'm not too fussed. I'm just noting it. Anyway, let's get a few laps in. Fans are on. It steers better to the left than the right just because of the steering setup. See the vibration? So the tyres aren't at all balanced, but let's have some fun. Let's see how it is balanced. Now, it was just raining really hard just before. Oh, doesn't track straight particularly well. Very sensitive steering too, actually. It spins out really easily. Oh, it's planted though. I haven't touched the suspension, I've left it stock. And we're running on a big heavy 3S 5 amp battery. Yeah, the tyres hook up. I haven't hit full throttle either, I haven't gone past about halfway. Oh! So it's got some boogie. It's a 3200 kV motor. Wow! So the box said 50 mile an hour, that's 80k an hour on 3S in ideal conditions. Yuck. Let's go the other way. All right, so I just have to get my head dialed in really to the twitchiness here. Every car handles differently. This thing, it's actually got air authority. That's nice. So when we got air then, and I gave it some acceleration, and it picked the nose up like you'd expect. Ah, it's hard to keep it straight. So this thing could benefit from a gyro system probably. It's not that easy to control, to be honest. If I keep the throttle down, it's good, but otherwise it gets all out of shape. It's fun. It's kind of brutal though. Yeah, it's really hard to stop it spinning out. But there's enough weight in those wheels. I mean, that's not good for heat or longevity of the battery, but there's enough weight in those wheels, you can really control it in the air. It's quite planted, actually. Oh, we've lost steering though. Yeah, there's a stick down inside the steering. But I'm keeping the steering on to protect the servo. It does have a servo saver, but there's something jamming it so it can't actually straighten up. Let's have a look here. Alright. So it's it's so mucky. Oh man. It's down. Ugh. It's down inside the there we go. There's actually a rock stuck in there. Now that's a slight design issue actually. I can see there's a rock down next to the bell crank. Not ideal. But look, she's mucky as, and it's holding up. I'm quite enjoying this little machine. Alright, we'll resume the test. Well, I like it so far. It is responsive, that's for sure. And if you're careful, you can keep it straight. But it is real easy to oversteer if you're not paying attention every single moment. I'm counter steering a bunch just to keep it straight, and I'm still getting the hang of it, honestly. Yeah, it's not bad though. Oh, that steering got caught again. So there's something in the bell crank area. Oh man, it is hard to keep it straight though. Well, we've got some battery. Do you know what else I'd like to do? Yeah, good. All right, I don't want to abuse this too much because it's not a Kraton. This is what my Kraton's for. I've actually kept the jumps kind of small, so let's have a quick look. Anything not straight? Okay, so the body popped out, but otherwise, man, that's just bending plastic, and there's a lot of G-forces, so that's all right. And stopwatch is still running. All right. I think with some practice, I'll get all right at this. It oversteers like crazy. A little bit of throttle helps there. Very responsive. Well, no, that's not true. It's reasonably responsive. For what it is, I don't know what it is in American dollars, but in Australian dollary dues, she's about 600 bucks. Still on our wheels. I think this would be about 350, 400 US at a guess. I don't know though. Could be less. Oh man. All right, so I reckon with practice we'll get there. It's not terrible. I can see roll bars that help. The outside wheels going around the corner, that keeps lifting the front outside wheel, which isn't helping at all with traction. And I think rear sway bars would help keep the front happy. Front and rear would be better. This is not my area of expertise. I know crawlers really well. This stuff I have I've got some knowledge, but yeah, I can't claim expertise here. So the steering is very responsive. The throttle, the punch is actually not particularly high, and that's probably something that can be programmed in the Arrma branded ESC. And I have a Spectrum Arrma programming card, so I might look at that. I wouldn't mind turning the punch up a bit. I think 3200 kV is about right for 3S. You wouldn't want this thing to be faster. It's got sufficient torque that when you need to straighten it up with throttle, it can. It's twitchy though. As I get used to it, I'll know when to come off the throttle and when to put the hammer back on. I do know from countless laps here with various cars, less is more. When you try and go slow to get smooth, your times just get better and better and better. And when you try and go crazy with speed, it all falls apart pretty quick. I'm going to spend many relaxing hours going through batteries with this little thing, I think. It's quite good. And now I can drive with my friend and his Slash, so that'll be good. So there you go. I've had a Stampede and it's been modified. We were running 4S for a while there. I've got a Creighton 6S. This is nice for just track work. We saw on the hills that it had some air authority, which is great, but where this is really happy is on a course like this. So if you've got somewhere to drive, a short course truck, this thing is twitchy, it's going to be frustrating, it oversteers a bunch, but it's also an absolute hoot. I really enjoyed driving it. So thank you for joining me on this little, it wasn't a review, it's just a get to know the vehicle, I think. We're going to stick with crawling and maybe the odd excavation vehicle or truck. Most of the time I'll be doing crawling. If you enjoyed this little jaunt down short course truck lane, throw me a like, and I'll catch you next time, probably with more crawling on RC-TNT. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this little jaunt down short course, probably with more crawling on RC-TNT. Thanks for watching.